Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday this week with Mariana Trigo. Hi, Mariana. Welcome back.
Hey, hello.
So, Mariana, on Tuesdays, we talk about teams, of course, and how sometimes they become their own worst enemies. But before we dive into that, we want to know, what was the book that most influenced you in your career as a Scrum Master?
It's funny to say here that it won't be a book about Scrum or about the methodology. The book that most influenced me here is the How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carenegie.
And a very old book it is, right?
Yeah, and I only read it maybe a year ago, because I was really struggling with my team. So I thought, no, you really need to understand what the strategy you need to apply behind this, because when you have very different roles inside of the team and specifically a very different seniority levels, you really need to adapt your communication to different people. So I really found out the need of searching for what strategies should I use, how should I change my speech according what they are telling me and according their profile. If they need someone more, okay, we need this, I need you to do this or that. If they need someone to explain them why are we doing this or why are we changing the ceremony, what's the output and so on. So this book really helped me on first taking a little bit of my bossy side, because I was always a little more on, okay, we need to do this, this and that. Let's do a checklist. And now I am much more connected to people and understanding, okay, so this person really needs me to explain this side of the project. This guy needs a more like a guideline on where to search, where to go, how to deal with people. And in this book, I found all of that. Basically, the core idea of it is adapting your speech in order to have the output that you really want. So when you are focused on the result that you want, it will be a lot easier to adapt your own words, your own speech in order to get that end result. So it was really a blessing on the time that I was managing that team.
It's very interesting to see how different people look at the different books that they recommend here. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, which I've said several times here on the podcast should be mandatory reading for every Scrum Master, has been described here a few times, not that many, but quite a few times. And it's quite insightful to see the different aspects that people get out of it. Was there some kind of tip, rule, heuristic that you learned in that book that you still remember?
I know that the core idea that I really took was like taking a little bit out of your own thoughts and almost disconnect your usual way of manipulating. Let's say it's a bad word, but sometimes you really need to disconnect how we usually manipulate people and just listen, because they will feel a lot more comfortable when you are really interested in what you are saying. And that's one of my worst characteristics, because for me, it's very hard to listen. It's very hard to understand their pains when, for me, that doesn't really make sense. And this happens a lot in the IT world, where we have a lot of benefits and everything around an IT job is usually very good, salaries, benefits, perks, etc., etc. And sometimes I have people on my team that they think that's the default for everyone in the world. So they don't value anymore what they have. And for me, it's very painful to listen to them when they are complaining about a thing that I think they should value, and they are not valuing that. So I remember reading the book and feeling that, okay, you really need to listen to them. You need to stop your usual process and just get with their pain. Just try to understand it, try to breathe what they are feeling, and then you will suggest whatever you think it's the correct answer, let's say, because I don't want to give them answers. I want them to get there by themselves. But I think that was the main point for me, listening to their pains, drink from their pains, instead of just applying the process that I have already in my mind, like, okay, let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also talked a little bit about that yesterday on the Monday podcast. And perhaps even to amplify that is that ability to listen and to disconnect from what you want and try to connect to what they are struggling with is one of the key aspects of being a Scrum Master, right? It's one of those dynamics that we should strive to make natural in our work.
Exactly, for sure. And if you have that naturally, I think it should be awesome. I don't have that naturally. And it's one of my biggest constraints for sure. But I'm trying to get there eventually.
So, yeah, if you feel the same, then this book is definitely for you. So go and check it out. We'll have the link in the show notes. So, Mariana, now we turn our attention to the teams and, of course, how we observe what they do, how we observe how they evolve, and especially those small signs that start to show up early, but they don't really reveal themselves until later on when the team is already in trouble. So, we want you to tell us the story of a team and how that process happened that led them to develop this behavior or anti-pattern that ultimately destroyed the team.
Yes, I had a huge connection with that problem early this year. I think it was a little bit also caused by COVID. Here in Portugal, we had like our Christmas holidays, which were kind of nice. We were allowed to be with our families and so on. But then in January, everything got worse. So we were entering in a new year, let's say a new life for everyone. Everyone is expecting the pandemic to be over, but it was even worse. We entered in a lockdown again. So our freedom was taken out, and that was for sure felt inside the team. So what happened was we were feeling that people were a bit more angry every day. During our retrospectives, we always had some red cards, especially about the company and the strategy of the company and what they were communicating. So what happened was that the team started influencing each other on the negative things about the company, like everything outside the company would be better, the payouts outside the company would be better, other strategies in other companies would be better than ours. And that's kind of became a complaints funnel where they were getting each other angrier and angrier. And it was around the same time where we had to one of the major events during the year, like during 2 3 months, March, April, May, we have huge events happening and we really need the team to be focused. And usually we always choose one person to be like the speaker, one of the developers. And what happens was that they were supporting that person a lot. They were still angry during the day, like with everything that came up, new things, new requirements, changes. And we really needed to support our own decisions as a team. But we, of course, would be questioned about some of the decisions that we were making. That's normal, right? From upper management, from other teams, whatever. And usually that would be a simple thing. I am speaking about a senior team. So they should be already used to that, used to being questioned.
Yeah, they should be used to feedback, right? Because being questioned is feedback.
Exactly. It's not someone telling you, why are you doing that in a bad way? It's just, okay, you're doing that. Can you explain me what's the reason behind? But they didn't understand that. So what happened was that they felt the upper management were not trusting on them. So that got the relationship a bit awkward and weird in a specific time where what we needed was really to trust each other and not having the trust parts going down. We really needed it to come up. So that complaints funnel made them angrier, and then that's turned them feeling that people didn't trust on their work, on their decisions.
So they kind of built like an exoskeleton, right? Like the shell of a turtle. Like they tried to protect themselves from the world.
Exactly. They built like a wall around the team. Inside, everything is awesome. We are awesome for each other. We really trust each other. But I cannot say the same about other teams, other managers, other environments. That's not our marvelous world inside these walls.
This reminds me of this idea of belonging, which you also mentioned in your bio. Because when we start to lose belonging, right, like in COVID, it was very easy to lose belonging to the company because we were working as a team and not basically seeing anybody, right? Like it was basically family at home and the people we worked with over Zoom or whatever tool they were using for video calls. So when we start to lose that connection, we start to lose belonging, and it's maybe not natural, but I mean it's definitely possible that a team starts building kind of this barrier, this separation between the team itself and the rest of the company.
Yeah, exactly. That was what happens from week after week. We could see that happening. And for example, when the time for giving feedback came, it was so obvious that the feedback about the team inside the team was always marvelous. So there was nothing to improve on your colleagues, which is bad because there's always something to for us to be better, right? There's some details, some way of speaking, some way of doing things, we can always improve on something. And the feedback inside the team, everything was perfect, which is a red flag for a manager.
What did you guys do to tackle it? Because that's not an easy dynamic to recover from.
No, it's hard, and you cannot let it go. Just simply continue, right? You have to stop it somewhere. One thing that really helped us, and it was a luck, we didn't need to do specifically a strategy on that, was that we had a junior role in the team. The person had joined us like maybe 6 months ago, and it was his first job or second job maybe, but he was very junior and he was still valuing a lot of things that the company was giving him, and he was already a part of the team. So the team adopted him. They really liked him. They liked his attitude, his way of dealing with each other. And he was the one inside the team that raised the issue like, look, maybe we are being too pushy here. We are always angry. Why is this happening? We should be helping each other and the teams around us. So that attitude came right inside of the team, which is rare given that it was the most junior role doing this and not the senior one. It was a surprise. From my side, I tried to take this out during retrospectives, like what's happening? Why are we feeling like this? Why is the mood like this? And then working that out during individual conversations with each one in the team. Like, what do you think is happening? Why did this person reacted this way or that way? They might not have a specific reason, but they would think about it afterwards and they would understand that, okay, I will try to help the team not to be in this bad mood. So those were the two strategies that we used. First, someone inside the team understanding the situation and trying to speak for the team, like, guys, this cannot continue. This is not good for anyone. So let's try to deconstruct and build here again a good environment that I know that you have. And then speaking with each other and making them understand that we cannot continue like this. So they should be also the ones pushing for the positive things inside the team, inside the company, and so on.
The someone inside the team is something that we don't need a junior for, right? Like, I mean, as Scrum Masters, we can create alliances with team members that see perhaps things happening the same way we do, because even though in a group setting, some team members might not say what this junior developer said, right? You know, pay attention, you're just saying negative things, but you actually get a lot of value out of the company and so on and so forth. But we can, in one-on-ones, we can talk to the team members and discover which of them are already having those thoughts and help them bring that up also through questions in the retrospective and encouraging them to express a dissenting view, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about not letting that dynamic get out of control.
Yes, that's exactly it. Sometimes it's easier. It depends on how open the people are to speak about their own pains, because usually there's always something behind, right? When they are like getting angry every day. Of course, here the pandemic didn't help. They were really a very close team. They were used to having lunch together every day. And month after month after month, it was almost a year on that time. So it was already a lot, but that we could not change. So the mindset was like, okay, let's work with what we can control. We can't control that. So maybe we can start playing during half an hour each day after lunch, grab a coffee, speak about whatever we want outside work, do some games and so on. So we also started to do with that. That was already a routine, but with all of this bad mood, we had stopped doing that in a regular way. So we also tried to come back with it.
Then that's actually a great tip. Like, make it part of the routine, right? Like one team that I work with, they have this special Mondays where instead of having their normal stand-up, they have games. They play games during the stand-up, right? And even though that sounds like a simple thing, it actually has a huge impact on the team's morale and the connection between the team members.
Yeah, that's absolutely essential, because it's a time where you can mock other people, you can say jokes, and it really gets you the connection. You can find out hobbies that are similar, and that's really good, because when you do that, you will be able to balance your professional life and your personal life a lot better. If you need to get out early to go kite surfing, as it happened in our team, everyone will understand, okay, today is a good day for this person to go do kite surf. So let's leave him alone. Let's leave him to enjoy this. And tomorrow he will tell us about how was the session and so on. And that's very, very healthy for the team, very human.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Mariana. It was a great story.
Thank you.
Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. But tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.